Hello folks, welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for joining me. You are always most welcome. Well, it's coming up to the end of 2021, so I thought I would round off the year with what I got for Christmas, basically. Now, either Santa thinks that I have been a very, very good boy for some reason, or he just got the wrong address, but I tell you what, you could say my Christmas and birthdays came at once again this year. I seem to have dropped lucky once more. We've got, especially for your entertainment, the Zoukei Mura SWS Super Wing Series 132 SKYRAIDER A-1H, and this is the US Navy version that includes the US aircraft weapons. And there are various versions of this kit that do a US Army and a US Navy version that don't come with the weapons necessarily, and you have to buy them separately, which is a bit odd. Given the nature of this aircraft, I'm not sure why they went that way and didn't just do it in this variant from the outset, but the aircraft was developed obviously as a piston prop, fairly traditional aircraft, started developing it in 1944 at the end of the Second World War to replace the Thunderbolt, and it was basically brought in after World War II, saw service in Korea, and then was so successful that they just kept going with it right the way into the Vietnam War. So it had basically 23 years, something like that, of service, and that's well beyond the date that it actually came, when I say service, I mean operational service in battle, effectively, because it came in the mid-late 40s, and it went to the 70s, so 30 years basically on the front line, which is quite impressive, especially when you consider it's kind of old school, old technology. It's not a jet, it's just a honking great massive engine at the front, a massive, very brutally strong, well armoured fuselage and wings, and the ability to carry heavy payloads, and that is exactly what you want in a close air support or CAS role. And of course this is why it was ideal for places like Korea and Vietnam, and it saw very great service. Now, this is a big kit, it's going to take a while, so I'm going to keep the history to a minimum today because it's going to take us ages, quite frankly, to get through this. So, first of all, we've got a Super Wing Series number 15 in their range. Nothing much to say about what's written on the side because it's all in Japanese from our friends at Zoukei Mura, who don't seem to bother with any English on this side. But don't worry, they're very good with their instructions. They just maybe cut a corner on the box. But there's three nice photographs showing it in various weapons loadouts, and then also showing it here with the wings folded. And it's going to be quite a big kit for sure, so having the wings folded could be quite a good thing in terms of your ability to store this kit. On the opposite side, we've got some more nice photographs. Shows the basic construction, how it actually builds up. Gives you a bit of a clue here. You see all the ribs for the formers for the fuselage going down the back, and the ribs and spars that are actually within the wing itself. Then we've got the big old engine. We'll come to that in a second. And then we've got the cockpit interior. Oops, quite a few reflections here. Cockpit interior here. It's so big this box, I'm struggling to get it in the picture for you. Yeah, cockpit interior there, and then finally a little bit of detail showing the stores there. Anyway, this is going to be a bit of a treat, I think. Going back to my previous reviews, I've only done, I think, one Zoukei Mura, was it two now? I can't remember. And frankly, the other one I did was the Dornier DO335 file, which, apart from one or two little minor reservations I had, I thought was absolutely fantastic. They are engineering at a very, very high standard. This is one of probably the top 3 manufacturers in the world, so I think we can expect it to be quite nice. Let's have a look and see if we're right. Now, if I remember, it's a box within a box style, which I quite like because it protects it very, very well. So let us put that there safely and have a look at the great big box. You can see it sort of dwarfs me, doesn't it? Oh my goodness. Now, where do we begin with this? I'm going to have to you have to bear with me because it's so huge. going to take a little bit of management on my part. So what I'll do, put it onto the side here, out of the way, out of shot. And I will bring up all the bits, including lots and lots of plastic. And there is a lot of plastic in here. Huge volume of it. I'm not going to bring it all out at once because it's just going to get in the way and dwarf the desk here. So I will get out the most relevant parts first of all, like the instructions. I'll crack in on those first. Now, am I going to open the bags on this? Not sure. I'm not sure I want to do that at this moment in time. But I'll certainly do it on. I'll certainly do it on instructions because that's critical in these kits, I think. Ooh, and this one, the decals. We'll start with the decals. Now, this is a brutal juggernaut of an aircraft, it has to be said, and probably the last greatest of all the prop planes, really, if we're honest. If it had come in World War II, I think it would have had a real legend around here if they'd got it in maybe 1 or 2 years earlier. This had this at the end of '44. Can you imagine having this at D-Day? It would have been absolutely horrendous for the Germans or the Japanese over in the Pacific. Now what we've got here, we've actually got a set of decals. Okay, a set of decals that are just for this weapons set. So let's bring you in. Here we go. Put some more light on for you. There we are. Now then, so this is I mentioned this additional weapons set that you can buy if you have the version that doesn't come with it. So hence there's a little bit of a very nice leaflet showing you how all these weapons are assembled. It's basically an instruction leaflet for the weapons set, not just decals. Shows you how to assemble your weapons. £2,000, £1,000, 750 kilo bombs, and then you've got your Zoukei rockets, LAU-3 pods, which come with a nose on them, which you can leave on or leave off. They have I think a jettisonable nose on these rockets, and then you've got the HVAR. That's an anti-ground attack rocket as well. £250 or £500 bombs here. That's really nice, isn't it? And then it shows you the loadouts on the back here. Look at that. Fantastic. Really, really nicely done. Very impressed with that. Good start indeed. And then we've got the various decals that are pertinent. They're all yellow, so they're actually quite hard to see. I don't know if the camera can pick these up better than my eye, but I'm struggling to see anything. It's kind of on a very light background. But yes, they've got all the various, the rings and the decals and the stencils that go on your bombs. So there we have that. So that's basically a little bit of an extra, if you like, because it's got this weapons kit included. So if you just bear with me while I tuck that away. And we should pop that back like so. Right, now then, instructions. Now these are only taped, so we can easily get into this. Right then, just fold that back a little bit. Sorry about this. With you in a second. Here it comes. Now then, what have we got? We've got a mask set, which is nice, included. And we have got a very extensive instructions in the style of an old aircraft manual. Tops Modelling Manual, Navy Model A-1H aircraft, the SKYRAIDER. And it says this publication supersedes the 15th of January 1961 edition. Issued by authority of the Chief of Zoukei Mura Operations. And it says 18th of September 1962 on the bottom, so that's quite amusing, isn't it? Right, so we'll get into this, but before we do, I think we'll just have a quick peepee at these decals, because that's really what we wanted to see. Now look at these. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Now this is a big old model, okay? It's a big plane. You might want to have it, if you don't have a lot of space like me, you might want to seriously consider having the wings folded. But look at these decals, they're really nice. Look at the bees. The striking angry bee, they sting out, which pretty much sums it up. Wow. So we've got a number of bombing runs here, ground attack runs, logo on the side. It's had a shoot down of a MiG, and I read somewhere that this was the first aircraft. Yeah, this was the very first aircraft in the Korean War to actually do an air-to-air combat shoot down. It shot down, I think two of them shot down two MiG-17s, which is amazing because that's a jet aircraft, and obviously must have caught them napping, or it's got very great manoeuvrability, the SKYRAIDER. It's a very powerful, highly manoeuvrable aircraft. No, it's not a jet. No, it's not as fast as a jet, but it can certainly outmaneuver the early jets, and they were the very early ones. So impressive that this has got the first kill of the Korean War, which says it all. Anyway, you've got all your you've got stencils here, as you can see, based on HMS Intrepid. I've got to say that their carrier film, Zoukei Mura, it's a little bit yellow. I don't know if this is picking up on the camera. A bit yellow, the carrier film. If you look at it, sort of between the letters here, the AK. A little bit of yellowness to it. A bit of a cast more than most people's. But still very, very nice. Very sharp, crisp decals. Yeah, got to say those really look the business. So, very good start indeed. Let's pop those back in the bag. Here we've got, I mentioned we've got these little set of masks for the canopy basically. I'll pop that back in there as well. Then I think there's a correction sheet of some description. Or is it? No, it looks like it's some sort of a... Well, it's all in Japanese, so I can't read what it is actually. There's literally no English on it. I think it's some sort of a reply paid label actually, if you want to send back and you need parts possibly, but it's not very clear, I've got to say. Anyway, let's crack on. Have a look at this lovely instruction sheet. They are usually fantastic. So look at this SKYRAIDER fan club, SWS fan club. Another reply paid thing, so we get rid of that. There's a lot of marketing going on here, I've got to say. Here we go, the Wright R3350 engine. Let's zoom you in for this. Now they do this very, very well, it has to be said. One of the companies that do get it, a bit like Tamiya, they understand that you want to buy more than just a load of plastic. You want to have an experience and a historic learning about the subject matter. Talks here in great detail about the 20mm cannons the plane's armed with. Then you get a little bit of description about the paints you're going to need. Talks about Mr. Colour, which is a little bit annoying. Wish they'd perhaps give you a bit more data than that. I'm surprised they haven't included Tamiya, but anyway. And it starts off with the cockpit and how to build up the cockpit. And we're going to go through this fairly rapidly because I think if I go through my wing nut wing style detail, we're going to be here for a week. So, but there's a lot of detail. You've got a front bulkhead for the cockpit going in here. Then you've got your instrumentation and your control panels. Then you're bringing in your seat. And of course you've got lots of data about how to paint each component within that information display panel and the control panels at the side. And you can actually note as well with this aircraft, it looks more like a jet, the actual instrumentation, the yoke, more jet-like than a piston prop style. Supplementary equipment, hydraulic reservoir underneath where the yoke is. You've got your fuel tank system here. Then you're onto the packaging of the fuselage itself, showing that fuselage fuel tank bag. and how it's going to look once you've got it built up. And it has these multiple intakes on the top. It's quite an unusual style on the SKYRAIDER. Instead of having intakes underneath like you do with a lot of these piston prop aircraft, it's on top, right above the engine. Then you've got fuselage side, movable air brake system, showing you how that is all assembled, and then you've got your formers going in down the fuselage internal sides. We've got a tail wheel and arrestor hook assembly being produced here. Just a little bit too far away. There we go. Then we've got the right and left side of the cockpit going in, and that tail wheel and arrestor hook assembly being brought together here. Top of the upper fuselage coving, you've got shows the positions of exactly how the parts should be. Again, these guys are brilliant, a bit like Wing Up Wings. They show you before, during and after you assemble the part how it should look and how it should appear, and the exact angles and positions of everything. And they're very, very good at this, I have to say. Engine mounting going in here. On the front of the bulkhead, you've got this very clear visual illustration showing you how it should look. And the side view, the front view, exactly what other people are lacking in. Look at this. This is the engine itself. So this is the right engine. This is like a super developed, similar motor to the one that's in the Corsair, but more power than the Corsair had. And you're building it up here. Push rod driven engine. Obviously, it's got is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 18 cylinders? 18, I think it is. Cylinder block. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it's 9. So it's 18 cylinders. 2 banks of rotary, radial, I should say, cylinders. You've got your gear housing going in here, and your exhaust manifolds going on the back of the cylinders there. Here you've got the middle pipes connecting the front and rear cylinder banks. Lots of detail, look at this. All of those pipes going in there, middle exhaust. It shows exactly how they should appear again. Leaves you in no doubt at all. Air exhaust pipes for the back, how it exits the rear cylinders, and then the cylinder covers. Just astonishing detail here, absolutely fantastic how they've done it. Then we're on to building your wings. Folded or straight, obviously, and your spars going in there, shows you exactly what the positions, what should be attached and what should not be attached, whether you're having the pylon for your bomb or your fuel tank underneath, and then you've got things like the battery, and you've got your gear legs, how they're going to be assembled up. Landing gear wells here. This is going to take some time. I can tell you that for nothing. But they're good because they have it in Japanese, and then they have it clearly in English underneath, so that everybody knows exactly where they stand. And I don't know why, we can't have that on some of these other Chinese kits. It just doesn't make sense. These guys are doing it beautifully, just as you would hope. Inboard 20mm machine guns. Here we go. Is that a 50 cal? It might be the 50 cals actually. What did we say they were? 20mm cannons. These are slightly different, aren't they? No, they are. It says machine guns, and they're cannons, aren't they? 20mm cannon. And then you're producing that, getting them fitted in alongside your spars, going in, and then you've got the outer spar framework is going into the wing here, and then you're putting on the top skin of the wing as well. Outboard, then you repeat the whole process, and then you've got all these holes you'll need to drill here. Lots and lots of holes for all the ordnance, so you're going to have to be a little bit patient here and drill quite a few holes. And then you've got the outboard wing attachment. Obviously there's a pivot system here, unless you're having it fixed it's going to have to pivot up, so that's going to be something you'll need to take your time over. and then the upper section of the inboard section of the wings is here. And it says here, check you can operate, close and open them smoothly. So you've got to check the operation of your folding wings. And here we see that they are indeed done. Folded up. And sorry, skipping over too fast there. You're attaching the fuselage and the wings together here, which is quite an important step, has to be said. Again, showing you lots of angles about what the dihedral angle should look like, what it should look like from the side. Very helpful stuff. Then you're into your main gears and your landing gear and tyres, and you've got all your actuators and the hydraulic systems, gear leg retraction mechanism here. Shows the struts in some detail, and then we've got the wheels themselves going on, and there is a lot of mechanism, and it also even has the brake pipes included. Look, that's fantastic. So you don't need to do any scratch building here, it's all going to be included for you. Lots and lots of detail. Then we've got our main gear, landing gear covers, because it has like an aero cover on this plane, because they do protrude out quite a bit when they're retracted, so they have like an aerodynamic fairing. And again, it shows you the exact angles, how it should look when it's sitting on its gear, and very helpful there, showing the attitude the aircraft should have. Then we're doing the engine cowling arrangement here, building that up as so. Outer ring cowling covers here, and then you've got some of the inner cowling and all the fitments and fittings and how the actual cowlings are going to mount up, so you can have them closed or open if you wish. And then we're on to the flaps, ailerons and stabilisers, getting toward the end of the build here really. All these are coming on, the flaps and all the flap hinges. A lot of detail there. You can have flaps open or closed, you can have your ailerons posable however you want. I don't think the rudder is posable now, which is I find slightly odd. Not sure why they've gone down that route. They've got the rudder fixed, maybe because they wanted to keep it simple in terms of giving you less of a clash with the elevators and what have you at the back. Because if the rudder was movable, then you might have issues with the banging against the elevators. And then the final outfitting is when you're going to put all these extra parts on. So you get your propellers going on, your spinner. Well, say spinner, it doesn't really have a spinner. It's a bit like the Corsair. It's kind of rudimentary spinner, just a part of the boss of the propeller. Lots of aerials going in there. You've got your canopy going in. Obviously you've got some masking to do there. Then you've got all your pylons for all your weapons, of which you have got quite a lot in this kit. And you've got drop tank options, and recreating the aircraft in its park state, and it has these stays which hold the wings safely so they don't blow in the breeze when it's on the deck. We don't want them flapping around and getting damaged on the hinges, so they have a stay to static stay that holds it in position. And they have one on the sort of top and one underneath as well, which holds it open at the actual hinge end. And then finally it's painting and decals, and yeah, we've got a very helpful guide there, visual sort of photographs of what it should look like when it's finished. Very, very nicely done. I'm loving this as a concept. It shows you how to do your masking there for your canopy. And that's kind of it. So I have to say that is with the exception of Winglet Wings, who include a lot of photographs, and they don't, of the original aircraft. I mean, there's a few at the start obviously, but they do have a lot of data in terms of very specific information that's in illustration form, showing you the angles and the positioning of every part more than anybody, more than even Wing Nut Wings. So I've got to say that instruction guide there is just 10 out of 10. Beautiful. You're not left in any doubts about anything, frankly. If you don't understand it, you need to just go back and reread it, because all the information you need is actually there. So we're going to pop that away safely over there, and then we're going to look at the plastic, which there is a great deal. Got some little parts there, I'm not sure what they are, I'm going to put those to one side. Let's have a look at the big ones then. So, shall we take a look at this and see what we really think? I think we're going to open the bags on this one, simply because it's not going to be meaningful enough. There's so much kit here, it would be a shame to not see it. So let's do that. Starting with fuselage. Here we go. Fuselage is absolutely massive. It's a huge aircraft, this, and in this scale it makes it a real, literally a handful. Look at this. So this is just the side section, not the front or the rear, just the sort of central section of the fuselage. It's got these massive air brakes that are going to go in, which you can actually see the air brake is here. Panel lining is beautiful. You've got riveting, recessed rivets, you've got recessed access hatches. There's some raised panel line detail, which there is on the real aircraft here. Just take a look at that. That is just absolutely gorgeous. You've got part of the cowl, the front cowl section, which is going to fit into here. And I'm sure these will fit nicely, because Zoukei Mura do generally always seem to do that. By the way, it looks like I'm glad to say that I think I'm wrong about not being able to have the rudder. The rudder is a separate section here. It's not actually moulded all in one piece. So that's very good news. And in fact, here it is. Here is the rudder, complete with its down pointing aerials at the back, pitos or sensors, whatever they are. So yes, I think you can pose the rudder if you really want to. How easy that will be, I'm not too sure. I get the feeling they want you to put it straight. But anyway, you've got vertical stabilisers here. Here's your elevators, and again, really nice detail. Panel lining is very, very crisp, and it is a massive sprue, it has to be said, quite a floppy sprue as well. So we've got two of those sprues, so we'll obviously only review one of the two of them because they're identical. Certainly so far very impressed, it has to be said. Pop that there. Then we have got the wing sprue, or one of the wing sprues, and again we've got two that are identical, so we'll remove one out of the way. So, look at this. Let's pop this open. This end here. There we go. Now then, look at that. This is obviously your inboard section of your the lower wing where the undercarriage goes, and this is the sort of outboard, or sort of, I should say central section. Just gives you an idea of how big the Skyhawk's wings are. They're absolutely huge. So you've got an inboard, and a middle section, and an outboard. You know, the folding wing with a tip on it. Okay, I mean, I'm slightly exaggerating. So it's actually inboard wing, outboard wing, and then over here you have a tip, wing tip. So it actually folds. It does fold here naturally. Look at the detail here. We've got really, really fine detail. Lots of crisp riveting. Recessed panel lines. Nice little access hatches. Yeah, it's lovely. Very nice. Over here you've got your aileron, and again we've got these sort of sensors on the end of the ailerons, like a pitot head, temperature sensors, etc. That's the, as I mentioned, that's the tip there of the wing. Then we've got the what looks like the aileron or the flap. Yeah, it's the flap. Flap here, and then you got your ailerons over here. So it's very nice. Can't fault it. At least we've got no strange clear plastic like we sometimes get on Zoukei Mura. I think they've dropped that now. They didn't get very good feedback on the one thing I didn't like, I think, on the Dornier File 335. The only thing I didn't like was they put this clear plastic, which they do in a few of their kits actually. It's very, very odd. Not entirely warranted, I think. Now then, let's have a look at here. We have got another very large sprue indeed. Massive even. Just get this one open. Well, that looks really quite nice, I've got to say. Look at the detail here. This is the underside of the fuselage, central fuselage section. Look at that. Wow. You've got lots of panels, you've got raised details here. Like bolt heads basically, they seem to be. Access panels. It's really gorgeous. And then over here you've got some pylons, which again have got very, very fine detail on them. And you've got the intake, which goes on top of the engine. And here it is, ahead of the canopy. This very strange intake system, which is on the top, not the bottom. And over here we've got one of the panelled areas. I think it's for the flap underneath, actually. Like a landing flap. And then you've got a little bit of the rear fuselage section underneath here. And it's hard to get this into the picture actually, it's so big. It's such a huge sprue. It's absolutely massive. Here you've got some of those little sections of the aero fairings I talked about that are the where the gear bay, front of the gear bay is, because the gear does protrude on this aircraft, so they have a fairing built around it, and I think this is it here. This is the rest of the fairing. It's very nice, can't fault anything there. Very, very good. There's quite a lot of sprue that's sort of empty though, isn't there? They didn't utilise it all the way, did they? Now then, if I can just get that to stand up, we'll have a look at something a little bit different now then. Strangely, we have a black sprue, which is odd. Now why have they gone for a black sprue one day? You have to bear in mind that I am a great lover of matchbox kits, so I'm used to sprues being in colours, different colours. I've never really had a big beef with it, but that's perhaps that's nostalgia on my part, because I grew up with Matchbox, you know. However, as people will tell you, it does create problems if you have sprues of multiple colours, because you're not going to get any even finish. You have to primer everything, you have to, because otherwise you're going to get showing through different effects. So black is going to give a different effect to a silver or a white sprue or a grey sprue. Manufacturers really need to stick to one colour. It makes the painting much easier. But anyway, let's have a look at what we've got. So we've got the most beautiful propeller here. Look at this. That is stunning. Wow. Very, very nicely moulded. Beautiful shaping on it. And they've quite sensibly put, it's not quite as sensible as on those zeros we saw from Edward, where they put them right on the boss, the sprue contact gate point. They've gone a bit further onto the blade here, which I would have preferred they hadn't. I preferred they'd gone into the middle, but anyway. Then we've got your 20mm cannon, and you can see, to try and avoid ejector pin marks, they've got ejector pin lugs, which Zoukei Mura are known for. They always put lots of lugs on things instead, to avoid having it on the main central part. So obviously you just cut the lug off. It does give you a bit of work to do though. Not quite as bad as trying to sand ejector pin marks. Here we've got this beautiful, look at this. This is like a slide moulded fuel tank. So big I can't get it in. Isn't that nice? That's remarkable. That's the fuel tank. Then we've got our wheels, tyres, sorry. They're not weight on wheels, which I'm a little bit disappointed about. It surprises me. It surprises me a little bit. Then we've got lots of detailed ammunition magazine cases here with the ammo coming out. See the bullets there. We've got the wing roots here. And again, why black? Why black, I wonder? That's a bit odd. Then we've got our exhaust stubs. Now, that's not so bad on things like smaller parts, like exhaust stubs, because they're probably going to be black anyway. But it just creates a little awkwardness that you're going to have to primer everything to make sure, and you may have to give more than one coat of primer. You've got to make sure you've got a density that is the same on all the parts. Otherwise, if you start painting them, you know, they've got this lighter plastic underneath. It could cause some issues. Alright, that's that. Now then, oh, there's more. There's more strange things. What was I just saying? Look at this. Now we've got a silver sprue. What are they doing? That's a bit odd, isn't it? I mean, I say I'm used to this from Matchbox, but this is a very big, very prestigious kit, and it's just an odd choice to do different coloured sprues. You know, they seem to be obsessed with it at Zoukei. They say, okay, well this time we're not doing clear, we'll do them in different colours. Perhaps they've been watching my YouTube videos too much. Have you seen my enthusiasm for multicoloured plastic? Probably not. Probably not. Let's have a look. It's, oh yes, it's very kind of Matchboxy, isn't it? Right, where's my controller gone? I've lost it. Let's bring you in for this. Now check this out. We have got the engine cylinders here and the mounting, and they've gone for everything in silver. Just kind of curious. You see all the cylinders, beautifully moulded cylinders, really detailed. The two banks of 9, so 18 cylinder engine. And then you've got these very nice mountings for the actual engine itself on the front of the fuselage. I mean, the moulding's beautiful, lovely, lovely moulding, so crisp, you know, and there's no flash on the parts I can see at all. Here you've got, I'm not sure again why they've gone for this. They put this in the silver, which is the wing spars and ribs here. Yeah, it's an odd choice, isn't it? But it's nice, you know. I'm sure once you get used to just primer it, you'll be okay. It's just a little bit of a shock to the system having a kit of this sort of quality and prestige in this rather unusual finish. And here we have another in silver. They're really keen on it, aren't they? It seems that they are mad keen on this. It's quite funny, isn't it, really? It's like a Matchbox tribute act. There's nothing wrong with the kit, apart from this visual thing. Wow, okay, now we've got some really detailed stuff going on here. Let's bring you in. So we've got the instrument panel here. So that's very nicely done. And you've got your rudder pedals below, oxygen bottles, instruments, side instruments there. Obviously you've got your one of the main bulkheads here, and the bulkhead behind the pilot here with completely the armour plated section. Further along we've got these, zoom out a bit, these other bulkheads, or rather formers, you know, that are structural onto down the fuselage, so to speak. And we've got a seat here. We've got two options of seat. We've got one. They've done this well. They've given you the option here. They've got a seat with or without. We've got two types of seat, and we've got it with or without seat belts. So in other words, you want to put a pilot in, you put him on here, this one. And if there's no pilot, you want to have the seat belts visible, so use that one. And then below, oddly, they've also got some rather more rudimentary seats. I didn't pay attention to the instructions to which was which variant is it. I would have thought that, what I suspect is the case, I think it's the earlier and later versions. I think the early version would be this version of seat, and then the later ones will be the more advanced seats here. A bit more jet-like, isn't it? A bit more heavy duty, whereas that looks very early World War II, that style. Then we've got various panels for the instrumentation here. He says, can I get into focus? There we go, instrumentation panels. And you've got things like the arrestor hook, various smaller components. You've got the one of the outer rings that supports the engine bearers. All sorts of things going on. It's very nice. I mean, there's nothing wrong with any of the parts here. I could maybe detect the tiniest hint of flash on that cowling cover there, a little tiny bit of it, but nothing significant. But that may be a symptom of them just chopping and changing around with different types of plastic colouring. I don't know whether it's more prone to it in the silver or not. It's just a bit confusing. It does remind you of kits from an earlier era, you know. Was it Monogram, people like that did it in the sort of 70s, 80s. Yeah, I'm not sure I'm a fan of the silver, but here's some more of it. Let's have a look. Got some really meaty looking spars here. Look at this, and wheels and things. This is going to be a nice one. Just bring you in. So obviously we've got a great big wing spar here, and then we've got the end sort of sections of the wing where it's folding inboard and outboard. Nice detail there with all the rivets and the panelling. Very, very good. You've got some very meaty gear legs here. They are wickedly meaty and strong looking, they are. Then you've got your retraction system here, your I think it's actually part of the rear, that's the tail wheel retraction system, and the part here you've got the gas damper and the arrestor hook itself, which form this assembly together. And here we've got our wheels. Outboard and inboard, you can see they've got disc brakes as well with calipers, which is good. Very cool. Again, some more bulkhead stroke. It's part of the wing, the root, I think, of the fuselage to the wing section there. And then you've got these lovely brake lines, and this is something that Zoukei and Mura do so well, don't they? These brake lines, so nicely done. That's beautiful. Little hint of flash here and there, nothing, not on the major parts, but just a hint of it. Not a problem. Not a problem. Nothing that's going to be visible, I think, when it's painted. Okay. And then that leaves us with some more normal coloured sprues, shall we say. And we've got some nice weapons here. There's actually quite a lot of sprues left, actually, it has to be said. Let's have a look. Just excuse me 1 second, I'm going to just move myself around. Put those big old sprues back in the box. Otherwise they are going to fall over, because there's so many of them. Right, so, clear parts. Let's have a look at the clear parts. There's one of the smaller sprues now that have got lots of smaller components. Yeah, Zoukei Mura don't go out of their way to protect the clear parts like some do, like Tamiya or Great Wall Hobby or Hong Kong Model. They're quite good at it as well. It's just a bag, fairly rudimentary. Okay. Yeah, they're nice. They are nice. Bring you in. Obviously we've got a big bubble canopy on this aircraft for maximum visibility. Yep, it's very, very nice. I can't see any noticeable distortion there. Doesn't seem to have any nasty marks or weird texturing like we had on the Edouard Zeros. Very nice. Yeah, that is beautiful actually. Very, very nice bubble canopy. And you'd expect to see maybe a little bit of distortion on such a complex canopy as that. And there's virtually nothing. Virtually nothing. It's very, very crisp. Got an instrument panel here as well. Just find it. There we go. That's nice, isn't it? And then various lights and little windows and things. That is a very nice set of clear parts, I've got to say. Beautiful. Super, super, super. Okay, then weapons. Now we've got a couple of these which are duplicates. So I think we can make life simpler by getting rid of those that are duplicated. And just focus on one of each. So, there we go. Sorry, I've green screened you again. I must remember to pull back so you can see what's happening. Sorry about that. It's been a long review, this one. it's not done yet. Right, there we go. Bombs and rockets. So this is basically weapons set, which initially wasn't included in the kit when I think it was first released. So you had to buy it as a separate set, which is they seem to have corrected it with this one now. All included in this particular kit. What have we got? Well, we've got some Zuni rockets. We've got some of the these little ground attack rockets, small ones, high explosive. Very nice rear fins for the bombs. In two pieces there. I say it's two different styles, isn't it? Two sizes, I should say. And then we've got the bombs themselves here. And these are all very nicely formed. I've got to say they are really nice. There's nothing untoward here at all. And down here you've got your Zuni rocket pod. You've got your cap on it that pops off, drops off, and then obviously exposing the rockets themselves. And this is the actual pod itself, the outer. Very nice. We've got two lots of that. 2 lots and 2 lots, you know what I mean? So it's twin bags of pair. Then we've got the really big meaty weapons, which is in this bag, and the really big bombs. And here we have it. So, again, it's 2 lots of the same sprue, so I'll zoom back because they're so big. Look at these are really meaty, big old bombs. So we've got, I think these are the £500,000 and £2,000 bombs. But is that the 3, 2? I think it might be 3, 2 and 1,000. But they're huge, aren't they? They're really massive. Look at that compared to my thumb. That's a big bomb. That's as big as my thumb. Same dimensions as my thumb. What a monster. And again we've got these fins, rear fins, which are beautifully moulded. They kind of slide moulded those. Very accurately done. Absolutely gorgeous. So, 2 more sprues to go, and we're through. Yes, it's been quite a long review this, because there's a lot of plastic. Let's have a look at these. First of all, let's go with this one. It's got the tanks on it. Drop tanks. Oh, could have undone this with the tape. Oh, there we are. Okay, it's quite complicated. There we go. Okay, again it's 2 of the same. 2 sides that are identical. Yep, very finely detailed. It's got some raised panel line detail as the actual tank does have on the real thing. We've got the aero fins at the back, and we've got the what have we got there? The cap, is that? It's not a cap for this, or is it? I think there's 2 versions. One's got the more streamlined fin, 2 parts here, 2 halves, or there's just a cap, slightly less streamlined version, blunter. And then down here you've got your pylons for some of those bombs. So that's very nice. How does that fit in there then? I think we go like that. Yes, there we go. Put that back in there, like so. And then last but not least, we have got the cowls. Let's have a look at these. Look at that, that's a big old cowl, isn't it? That's a monster, look at this. Yes. Yep, big cowl, big side cowlings. Very nice. Detailed panel, bit of panel lining there. And then we've got the intake which goes on the top, which I mentioned earlier. Air intake for the engine and cockpit. And you've got some sway braces here for your bombs, attaching the bombs. And I'm not sure what that is actually. But there we have it. So it's quite nicely done. I mean, the moulding is beautiful. I'm not quite sure if the moulding is quite as exceptional as it was on the Dornier file. I'm not talking about the parts really. I'm just talking about the actual sort of the outer sprue frame. They don't seem quite as clean, but I don't think there's any problems there because it's just, I guess it's not really relevant, is it? So, what do we think then? There's a lot to get through there, it has to be said. Huge amount to get through. Massive. But I can't complain, because that was a very generous Christmas gift I received. Very grateful I am too. And I think that's going to take a few hours to construct, it has to be said. So let's have a look. Get the box back. Whoa, there we go. There we are. What's the verdict then? An absolute monster, a beast of a kit. What don't I like about it? I don't like the multiple colours. I think that's a bit totally unnecessary. I just don't see the point of it. And the Zoukei Mura are one of the best manufacturers, for sure. I mean, look at the research they've done, quite apart from the quality of the plastic. But they don't need to mess about with different coloured plastics and things. That's just confusing. And same with the file, which had these clear sections. A lot of it was clear. Well, again, you have to be careful with your priming, and it complicates the build a little bit. So I don't think we want to see that in the future. If they wouldn't mind just sticking to one colour of plastic. But that's kind of it, really. I don't think I can really think of anything else that at all. Yeah, it's beyond any criticism. I think I'm going to give it 9.5 out of 10. I think that's fair. Don't be too hard. It was a very, very gratefully received gift. But it's just that slight irritation. It just isn't necessary. And the engineering is so perfect, and the research is beautiful, and the way that they have thought about how the kit goes together and showing you how it should go together, how it should look, what the angles should be, the wing angles, the gear angles, everything, how the parts should look when they've been fitted. They have gone to the nth degree with this kit in detail, which they always do. They are genius engineers, these guys, there's no doubt about it. And they're not cheap kits, and you get what you pay for, quite frankly, you know. I'm sorry, but you know, some of these other guys in the Far East, in China in particular, should just look at what Zoukei Mura are doing and say, even if we can't do it like that in the next kit, we've got to get nearer to it. Come on. You know, instructions that don't have any English words in them are just not acceptable. Instructions that don't have clear explanation about where the parts are supposed to go or locate is not acceptable. These guys, they're almost forensic, you know, it's almost like total OCD they've got, and they're doing a beautiful job of it. So I think you could even say I'm harsh at 9.5, I think. 9.5 to 9.7 is kind of where I'm at. So a beautiful kit. Very grateful it's mine. Thank you very much to the person who bought that for me. I would recommend it to anybody else very strongly. A big, vicious, meaty SKYRAIDER, you know, extensively used throughout Vietnam and the Korean War for good reason. I hope you enjoyed the vid. Hope you'll give me a 9.7 out of 10 with a thumbs up. And don't forget, if you haven't subscribed already to the channel, you should definitely do so to see lots more content like this. And if you have already, don't forget to ding the notification bell to get early warning of any forthcoming videos. And other than that, I just say, wish you all a very, I'm sure you've already had a happy Christmas, so I wish you all a very happy new year in 2022. I hope we all get some more modelling done, and we all stay safe and well. And thank you for joining me. Thanks for all your time and watching all my vids for the whole of the year. Much appreciated, especially all the subscribers I've got this year. I've got up to 3,000 subscribers. One of my videos is just shy of 1 million views on it, so I've had a very good year indeed on YouTube. And I'm really grateful for all the support I get, all the comments I get, the vast majority of which are very, very interesting, supportive, add lots of data and information and facts that I didn't know in many cases. So please keep the comments coming. And thanks a lot, look after yourselves, and I'll see you in 2022. In the meantime, take care of yourselves. Bye for now.